Hello fellow tankers, so Wargaming removed iyouxin from the CC program because of participation in or condoning of bullying or actions designed to incite, offend or create unrest in our community. What the flying F? He said don't buy the loot boxes. You remember the tiered loot boxes? He said don't buy them. And that's why Wargaming is getting rid of him. This is beyond hilarious and kind of pathetic, I think, from Wargaming, because what the F? They are like actively going against their community, because a lot of people were against the loot boxes, and the ones who said something against the loot boxes are now getting punished for it. I mean, a lot of bigger CCs said stuff against the loot boxes. For example, Skill4 LTU as well said don't buy them. He can't recommend it, but in this case he actually takes like the side of Wargaming and says, okay, well, he kind of asked for it, for doing this, but man, I mean, all of you content creators like Baby or Kaizu or The Killsor, whoever, everyone said, like, this is a very bad idea, we are against this, and they said the players shouldn't buy them. But I think because iyouxin is kind of a smaller content creator, Wargaming just wants to make an example, give a warning to the other CCs that they shouldn't, like, openly say something against the new monetization practices of Wargaming, which is beyond pathetic, and it's also dividing unnecessarily the community, which this game is, like, hardly desperately depending on. So I really don't get why this time Skill4 LTU is like siding with Wargaming a little bit, because normally he has very reasonable arguments against or even for Wargaming, but this video for me seems like out of nowhere and a little bit awkward. I mean, look how friggin' childish Wargaming is right now here. Someone from Reddit was trying to make a new username, and as it seems, if it's not fake, but I don't think so, they even banned the username. Wargaming and World of Tanks, what is happening to you? One of the reasons is I think Wargaming has a huge problem right now. Besides the overall balance of a tank, the game mostly consists of long-term players. Actually, we are all old veterans from World of Tanks, and not many new ones are coming because the game is extremely unattractive for every new person, because it's extremely hard to learn and it's so unrewarding if you start to play for, I mean, even the first year is such a pain in the ass still. But long-term players even have less reason to play the game right now. As you can see, I just like have all the blueprints from all the tanks, even from like the stuff I never play or would have played because of like the daily missions. And if I would like to start a new line, I would have to stock grind them. So I would have to research this stuff for free XP and buy it then. Then I could play like that tank, but I could also immediately research the next one. Which is kind of a stupid concept, if you ask me. Because the most important thing would be that I would like to play this tank and I would like to enjoy playing the game on the maps with very different tanks. But most tanks or most playstyles are basically the same. We have like hull down, we have side scraping, we have light tank, and basically medium gameplay, which is sorts of all of those. Camping tank destroyers or heavy tank destroyers, which is either like kind of arty gameplay or heavy gameplay, and artillery, which is like for absolute idiots, to be honest. But why are the random matches so unenjoyable to play? Well, the maps are the main problem, because you have like always 2 or 3 corridors where you can actually go, and then you have to wait behind a bush until something happens, which is extremely boring. And if you don't grind anything, you actually have no reason to play the game, because the playing itself is not enjoyable. And you always do the same stuff, because we get no new maps. We recently got like 2 new maps, but like after 3 years or something like this, it's hilarious. So if not playing the game itself is a reason to play it, they try to make us play the game because of the rewards. But looking at the rewards, which this is for long-term players, and the battle pass basically is just for long-term players, which almost have everything in the game, it's so useless. You get like a handful of bonds, and then you get stuff for grinding new tanks, like credits, which is not even the worst part, but for example, blueprints, normally you got enough of them if you've played for years and years, like most World of Tanks player right now, and like crew XP booster or tank XP booster, absolute bullshit you don't need, or most directors you barely use in any random battle. Why? X5 mission boosters, no one needs them really. So the only good stuff kind of are the bonds and the experimental equipment, some crew books, okay, yes, premium days if you want to grind credits, for example, and the item for tokens. But the problem as well here is that why would you play these tanks if most of the game is right now in such a bad state that even the most interesting tanks of these choices are not fun to play in random matches? And let us not even start talking about the Tour of Duty and how they nerfed the rewards for clan players. So Wargaming has several big fat problems. For example, shrinking player numbers, especially now in summer, where the summer hole is coming up and more people are outside and not playing World of Tanks. Together with people getting bored playing the same maps over and over again with the same unbalanced tanks, leading to frustration and hopelessness towards the whole game. There are many side projects they are developing which are like completely wastes of money, because World of Tanks and World of Warships, which are definitely the only games which are like creating money for the company. All the rest has not worked out and I think will not work out. For example, Steel Hunters. Have you even heard about this game? I mean, there's a lot of money pumped into it and it's from Wargaming and people don't even like it. So what the F? I think this will not last long. And even bigger problems, for example, like upcoming other games which like imitate World of Tanks to a certain degree, like Steel Aces, which seems to make everything better than World of Tanks and War Thunder. And they will most likely get in the open beta this year and they will be a huge opponent to World of Tanks and Wargaming. So I think in the end Wargaming is really starting to sweating about their game and their future, and it doesn't look good for them at all. And now they even piss off their own community. Isn't that like insane? Let us just take a very short look what like successful companies are advising actually.
Are you a business owner by any chance, or?
I am not.
You're not?
I'm the CEO of Frito-Lay.
You're the CEO of Frito?
Yeah.
You're the CEO of Frito-Lay.
Yeah.
That is incredible.
Yeah, in today's environment, you gotta, one, understand your consumer, who's buying your product better than anybody else. Technology is the way to make sure that you stay on top of consumer trends and you understand what consumers want. Being consumer obsessed is, I think, the most important thing.
And this is what Wargaming just doesn't want to accept, that their consumers don't want to have like tiered loot boxes, for example, or like a very unfinished gameplay somehow. They want interesting maps, they want to play the game and have a reason to play the game, and not being punished kind of as a community for their decisions if they don't give Wargaming all of their money.
What company were you the CEO of?
Well, I was a lot of them. I was a Penny company, the Penny's company, Macy company, Barney's, Neiman Marcus. So a lot of different companies that had difficulties at the time. I was the CEO of the company, but it's not the CEO who makes a success. It's the people who work for that company. Each company is different. Neiman Marcus is different than the Penny company. So you have to go on, you have to understand who they are, not who you are. And then you also got to understand your customer. Because the number one thing that a person running a company has to know who his customer is and take care of them and make sure your people are taken care of. And then if you do that, you can take care of the shareholder. Even though people say the shareholder comes first, the shareholder does come first because they can fire you. But if you don't take care of the customer first, you're never going to take care of the shareholder.
So this is something Wargaming will never understand. They want to force us to like what they are doing, and if we are criticizing it, they want to punish us. So we start to think otherwise. Seriously, the end for this game might come close this year, and even if they try to make it up for us, I think the community will never forgive them all their bullshit, and maybe the time of World of Tanks will end this year.